Hello chaps and chapettes, in this video I'm going to be reviewing this game US Telegraph, which is a building game, and we all love building games, don't we? We love building up empires and farms and spaceships and making lots of money which we can transform into points to win the game. But that doesn't happen in this game. You have an enterprise, yes, you are one of a company of entrepreneurs who are trying to set up the old Telegraph to replace the Pony Express in the Wild West. And you're not trying to make money, and you're not trying to get points. This is a racing game. You want to be the first to be able to connect two cities together with your modern technology, the Telegraph, and that will simply make you the winner. Simple, huh? It's a simple game. It's got simple rules. It's very, very simple. You'll create the Wild West with these hexagonal tiles. You'll place a number out depending on the number of players and a number of cities, again, depending on the number of players. Each of these tiles has resources that can be used to build things if you build next to or on top of. But once they've been built on top of, that resource is disappeared. So what things are you going to be building? Well, you're going to be building your telegraph route across the deserts here with buildings on drab coloured tiles, which you're going to place onto your drab coloured player board. These tiles get mixed up, you place them in piles on your player board, and that will determine one of the actions. One of the actions is to draw tiles from these piles, and it's kind of like a bit of suspense because you don't know what you're going to be able to build until you see what that tile is. Players are also going to have some drab coloured resource cards which they can use to help build buildings if the resources are not there on the card or on the map, or they can just use these and spend them willy-nilly. That's obviously a wood and that's obviously water, and if you wish to, you can spend 2 of any resource to cover the cost of another resource. Now the game, basically, you're going to be having 2 actions that you can choose from. The first action is to be able to draw tiles from their face down position to see what those buildings are that you can possibly build. And the second action is to be able to build these buildings with resources, of course. And the good thing about these actions are, if you don't complete those actions, you can draw cards and get more resources into your hands. So for instance, if you're going to draw tiles, you can draw up to 2 tiles. You can choose to draw 1 tile and then draw a resource card. Or you can draw no tiles and draw 2 resources cards. But that's rubbish, really, because what you want to be doing is you want to be doing the build action, because the build action will allow you to build 3 times. If you don't wish to build 3 times and you wish to build only once, you get to draw 2 resource cards, and if you don't wish to build at all, you get to draw 3 resource cards, which is a lot better deal, isn't it, really? So if you choose to do the draw action, you pick up the tile and you look at it and you look at the number and you go, oh, it's a 61, 61, and this is where it feels like bingo. It's like 61, 61, 61, where is it? Oh, there it is! And you can place it on your player board, ready later for if you decide to do the build action, and then you can build it because it's got the resources that it was required to build. Or if you wish to, when you pick up your tile, you could build it directly onto the map. The problem is sometimes when you're playing, you forget that you're in the draw phase and you've just built this because you've just drawn it and you've built it, and then you think you're in the build phase for some reason, and then you start building. Now that's a minor niggle, but it's something that happens from time to time, and kind of like, wait a minute, did that player just draw and then build? It will build and then draw. So you have to watch some of the players. I mean, even experienced players will make that mistake. Ha ha ha. If you choose to do the build action, it's a very simple case of just looking over the buildings that you've discovered and laid out onto your bingo card, and then paying the resources needed, either with the cards in your hand or with the resources marked around the area where you're building it, and it's done. You mark off on your bingo card that you've built that building. Because as you can see, there are little clusters. There's these clusters of greens here, there's a cluster of yellow, a cluster of red. If you manage to complete and build all of those buildings of that color, you get a worker, which you can use at any time on your turn and spend him to perform an additional action. So you could draw 3 tiles instead of 2, or you could build 4 buildings instead of 3. And those of you who have been very observant would notice that the backs of these tiles come in 2 different colors. You have these black backs and these white backs. The difference is these black backs are like the start of a chain of buildings. So for instance, if you have the bridge, that's the start of a chain. If at any time you want to build the viaduct, you can build that next to the bridge. You build it for free. You don't pay any resources whatsoever. The same happens if the tunnel is after the viaduct, and the same thing happens if the station is after the tunnel. So there you go. You've got a free chain of buildings that you can build, and there lies some of the strategy. It's how many tiles do you want to discover, how many tiles that you want to discover and build directly, and how many tiles do you just want to build at one time. So you have 2 simple actions, but the amount of possibilities that you can do with them is quite vast, because again, it depends on the resources on the board, it depends on the resources you have in your hand, and it also depends on what the other player is doing. Are they 2 spaces away from completing their route? Do you need to jump in now and block them? There lies the conundrum that you have to kind of like battle back and forth in your brain. Oh, should I build that now just to piece them off, or should I just keep drawing some more tiles and so I can do bingo? And again, this is a game where you're not just going to be sat on the back seat and just looking at your board all the time and going, oh, it's lovely, I've got this, that. Oh, it is a very heavily player interactive game, because everything revolves around the main board. As players are desperately trying to get their road from one city to another, they're getting in each other's way, and there's going to be a lot of backstabbing and blocking people off. In fact, you may get blocked off entirely from the city that you were going for, and you may have to go to another city. If you were blocked off from all of the cities, there are ways around that. If at any time during the game you deplete one of your piles of tiles, immediately after you've discarded the tile that you've just drawn, you get to draw a hexagonal tile and add it to the map, making the map bigger and also giving you a way around, which, you know, prolongs the game. You're still in, you know, you're still going. You want to get round. You've blocked them, they've blocked you. We need to get around. And the great thing is that these tiles are like symmetrical, so when you line them up on the board, they fit perfectly until you try to place them near a city, because it's like that one square tile in a mixture, a mosaic of hexagonal tiles, and it doesn't fit. And so the route to that city becomes possible, but it can also be, you know, you can have this like negative effect of someone can still just block you because you've created a hole in the map, so you have to go all the way around here, and you can do that, and it adds another level of fun and entertainment. And as the game goes on and you block them and they block you and you block them back, and obviously when there's more players there's a lot more blocking and a lot more ganging up on that player that's going to probably win, which is fun. The game kind of comes into a stalemate. The better the players, the more chance there is of a stalemate. Also, the better the players and the more observant they are, they can actually deduct their colours on the map and actually see their routes quite easily, because the drab colours are drab, and sometimes you look at the map and you go, is that my color there, or is that just like the color of the tile of the building? Because they kind of are the same kinds of colors. But another way to win the game is to be able to build all your buildings and have that one moment of pure joy when you cry out those immortal words, bingo. You build all your buildings, you win the game as well. Now, some of you may be saying that this game looks very familiar. In fact, this game is just a reimagining of an older game called Attika, which is basically the same thing. In fact, when you look at the images of the game itself, it looks like the same game. It's the same tiles, it's the same drabness of colors, that palette has been chosen. Although thematic, it's drab and sometimes it obscures your vision of, you know, what's actually going on, especially when there's multiple players playing at the same time. It can be confusing, but this is a great fun family game with its very simple rules, but with those simple mistakes which can throw the game and make you go sometimes. But that's great. The choices are very simple. You can do this or you can do that, but there's always consequences to the choices that you make. And again, with this kind of like Mexican standoff where you just jump in the way of their route and they jump in the way of your route. When do you do it and how do you do it? And with what building do you do it? Because you have that chain reaction of 3 buildings that you can build if you have them all on your board. But then it's the luck of the draw of drawing the tiles and hopefully drawing the right building which you need in that chain, or the right building which you have the resources to build that building to block them at the right moment. This game has a limited amount of chance. I wouldn't say it was too lucky-looky. It is very kind of, you know, you've got to calculate everything, and the game always starts the same. People are always drawing tiles and adding them to their board, so there is this familiarity at the beginning of the game. But later on, as the game develops and the map becomes convoluted, the game becomes more intriguing and more intense as you try to win and try to get that route and try to just like on that one turn just build, win on your last turn. Oh yeah, use your worker, build to do a super win. Woo! And that's always a great sensation. And again, even when there is the Mexican standoff and nobody can get to any cities, it relies on that bingo mechanic where you do have to be cost efficient to get those buildings out onto the board as quickly as possible to win the game. As a 2-player game, it's, you know, just a normal kind of like back and forth with a slap in the face. With the 3 or 4-player game, it's a lot more intriguing and a bit more entertaining as one person becomes the target for the other players or vice versa. And you can like try and sneak in your route, and you know, some players are like so busy talking to each other and giving it that gun-ho kind of, you know, I'm gonna win this. But there's the quiet one which is sneaking their route in behind and going through here and then finally connecting, which can surprise the players at, you know, having that surprise victory. This is a great game. The components are okay, they work, they're just drab and colorless, but you know, if you made them purple and red and bright red, you know, fuchsia red maybe, they probably would, you know, the theme is kind of lost in them. Again, you can't see your buildings very well on the board, maybe 3D buildings, you know, like in Across the Desert or Through the Desert, the Reiner Knizia one, where it's a bit more easy to see because they're 3D things that stood up on a board. But apart from that, the components are pretty good. They do a good job. You know, I kind of feel it's a missed opportunity to upgrade the game of Attika to this without upgrading the components. The artwork is a lot better, obviously. The saloon looks nice. The artwork, yeah. But it's a kind of missed opportunity. Now, as a technical score, I will give this game a 9 out of 10. Because the components work, the rulebook is very well written, it explains everything really, really well, even the things that I've missed out in this video. and it's great. It's simple to read. You can quickly find things quite easily. There are examples when you need examples. As I said, the components are solid. Not very interesting to me, but you know, that it kind of misses out there, but it works. And so therefore a technical score of a 9 out of 10. It's just missing that certain je ne sais quoi on the component side to make this a great game. Again, the box is a little bit bigger than what it should be for the components that are in there, but hey ho. So how do I personally feel about the game? I like this game. It is fun. It's, as I said, 2 players, 3 or 4 players, a lot better, a lot more fun, a lot more interaction. This game is very heavily intense on, you know, watching what the other players do and how they do it and being aware of what they're doing. Again, luck of the draw would change the game and how you play, which is great because you don't want a game to be the same all the time. But also luck of the draw might, you know, niggle at the back of your neck saying that, you know, this game is broken because it is luck of the draw and they managed to draw the better tiles than I did. But that doesn't matter. You still have to play within your strategies to win. I like this game. It's a great family game. Simple rules, simple actions. I'm not too happy about the art and the style and everything. The theme either. It's like, no, why can't it just be telegraph poles? You're building telegraph poles. That would be interesting. But hey ho, it is what it is. My personal score is an 8 out of 10. And so if you combined my BGG 8 out of 10 score with my technical score, which is supposed to be kind of cold-hearted, kind of step back. This is not Barrier reviewing the game, this is someone else reviewing the game. You get a score, a combined score of an 8.5 out of 10. 8.9, yeah. Weird. So there you go. That is the US Telegraph from Super Meeples. If that interests you, hopefully this video has pointed you in the direction whether this game is a game for you or not. If you've liked this video, give it a like. If you know someone that might be interested in a bit of gun-ho, well, gunless ho cowboy action, share this video with them. And if you want to check out everything that I'm doing, you can go to boardgameseverybodyshould.com where there's my blog, and then there's my videos, then there's my music, and then there's my Patreon where you can get yourself into the chance to win a copy of a board game of some sort. So there you go. Thanks very much for watching. I'll say ciao for now, and remember to always get off your horse and drink your milk. That sounds nothing like John Wayne. Partner. There. Just sitting at the table.